behind the camera because we're going to explore all this equipment here, and this equipment is what one soldier carries on D-Day. So let's again jump straight in and tell you a little bit about it. So it breaks down into several different types. So this equipment here is your basic battle equipment. So what you have, every soldier would have a rifle, and with that he would have 2 bandoliers of ammunition, each holding 50 rounds, so he'd have 100 rounds of .303 rifle ammunition. He would also carry 2 magazines full of .303, which is for the Bren light machine gun. That's the section light machine gun, which gives support to the troops as they advance. He would also have a number of grenades. Here we have a couple. So the Mills bomb is the traditional, what you would consider as in popular culture as the pineapple grenade. It's got a 3 or 5 second fuse. And when thrown, it's known as a defensive grenade, which means that when you throw it, you can't actually throw it further than it will kill you. So when thrown, you then get yourself on the floor as quickly as possible and hide behind your tin helmet and hope that nothing large from the detonation and fragmentation of this grenade flies back towards you. So it's a very, very dangerous weapon. This one is a little bit different. So this one is a Bakelite grenade. It's a 69 assault grenade. Now this is actually made, as I say, Bakelite, which is one of the first plastics. It's very brittle and has a slightly different method of setting it off. So this one, you traditionally pull the pin and throw. This one, take the cap off like so, and then this will unravel. And then as soon as that comes away, the next shock or violent jarring that this receives, it will detonate. It's known as an always fuse. It's a much smaller blast radius, known as an assault grenade because you can throw it, and then after you've thrown it, you can actually run after it, because the blast area will be small enough that it will only drive the enemy into cover or kill an area in a very small area. And by the time the enemy's recovered, you're on top of him with a bayonet. So that's the 69 assault grenade. Now this one is the slightly more gruesome of its number. So this has the same fuse as the 69 assault grenade, and it's a 77 white phosphorus grenade. Now phosphorus is used during the war to create smoke, which is used to disguise movement around the battlefield, but it was also found that it was a very effective room clearance. I don't mean by the smoke, I mean by the phosphor. What would happen, this would go off and with a kind of poff noise, and it would shower white sparks almost in maybe a 25-30 yard area. Now these white sparks are actually flakes of phosphor. Now anyone who's done GCSE chemistry will know that phosphor actually burns when in contact with oxygen, and it burns hot enough to melt steel. And as these flakes of phosphor come down, if they come into contact with your skin or with clothing, they'll stick. And the heat is such that it will melt flesh. It is an absolutely horrific weapon, but it was very effective. The Americans used a lot of this in tank shells, the British used a lot of this in grenades and incendiaries, and of course the Germans used incendiary bombs as well. It is actually banned now by the Geneva Convention and is no longer used, but again was a very potent weapon used in Normandy for the close quarter fighting that took place. Have a water bottle as part of our equipment, very important, keeping fresh water for the troops, usually just tasted of rust. We then have our entrenching tool. The entrenching tool is 2 pieces. You've got your spade and pick and your haft. 2 pieces go together like so. So you can start to dig a slit trench to get underground if you're being fired upon. Unfortunately, this also makes a very effective fighting tool. You've got a good sharp edge there and a good sharp edge there to swing it at somebody, or you've also got a pretty good kosh. So again, a very potent close quarter weapon should you need it. Speaking of close quarters, that's your bayonet. So that is the Lee Enfield No. 4 Mark 1 pig sticker bayonet. Again, not a particularly well machined or honed piece, but it doesn't need to be. The idea is you stick it in someone and they stay stuck. We'll cover that a bit more when I come to do the rifle. In the entrenching tool holder, you've also got boot polish. Again, seems a bit strange to have it as battlefield kind of standard. However, again, as I said in the uniform video, you keep your boots clean. It means you keep them relatively waterproof. You've also got your oiler bottle, and there will be a pull through for your rifle in there as well. Again, that's for maintenance of your personal rifle. Up here we have something which is sometimes carried, it's not an always, and that is a Hawkins mine. So it's an anti-tank mine. The idea being of the anti-tank mine, it doesn't destroy the whole tank. The tank runs over this, sets it off, and it blows a track off the tank, immobilising it. You can then assault it with infantry, who will then start dropping Mills bombs in through the vision slits and in through the top hatch, thus neutralising the crew or taking them prisoner. This rather unpleasant black mass here is a anti-gas cape. Now I'll come to anti-gas equipment in another video, but it essentially stops gas. It's a linseed soaked garment, almost like a Macintosh that goes over you, and the idea behind it is that gas cannot get access to the skin or the uniform of the wearer. So that's your basic battle equipment. I'm also going to quickly cover this item here. This is a life vest. You blow in through that end and it will inflate. And the idea being, obviously, if you go under the water, if you stumble into a shell hole on the beach whilst you're wading through the water, this will keep you afloat. Didn't really, because the equipment weighed so much it would pull you under, and if you're really unfortunate, this will actually tip you upside down and have your boots in the air, and then you drown. A lot of the Canadians went that way, and a very nasty way to go. So that's your basic battle.